Disclaimer: this story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes only. The lights flickered once before the storm began. Two faces, one built on fame, the other on control, met under 1,000 cameras. What no one knew was that this night would bury one of them forever. It was supposed to be just another glitzy segment, a celebrity appearance, a quick laugh, a viral moment, then back to business as usual. But not tonight. A slow zoom reveals the sterile set of a late-night talk show. Polished floors, LED panels shimmering in artificial warmth, a desk standing like a throne of wit. Behind it, Trevor Noah, poised, polished, and dangerous in charm. Across from him, Taylor Swift, unshaken for now. There's a brief hush before the cameras roll, broken only by the low hum of a mic being tested. "Level check," whispers a producer. "We go live in 3, 2, music cue rises. The crowd claps on command. But in the heartbeat between applause and speech, something changes. A flicker, maybe in the lights, maybe in someone's eyes. Taping begins. At first, a few jokes about album drops and Easter eggs. The usual. Taylor smiles, polished, calculated. But underneath, a tension coiled like wire, as if something has been said off camera, or something expected and dreaded. The inflation what was drinker, Trevor leans in. His tone changes, smiles still, but colder now. He chuckles and says something the audience half laughs at. Taylor's smile freezes, almost imperceptibly, and that's when it begins. No one remembers the setup now, only the silence that followed. A silence so deep you could hear the red light on the camera humming. Taylor's eyes shift, her breathing shallow, her jaw clenches for half a second. She doesn't respond. Then, slowly, she reaches for the lapel mic, peels it off with trembling grace, and stands. It takes the room a moment to realize what's happening. Trevor leans back, confused. The crew freezes. A producer mouths, "Stay in your seat." But Taylor's already walking, off stage, past the curtains, into the dark. No goodbye, no excuse, just an exit as sharp as a knife through silk. What had been said? What line had been crossed? And why did no one stop her? In the hours that followed, rumors would swarm like vultures. A career-damaging moment, a planned walkout, a personal betrayal. The internet would light up, but answers remained elusive. Until now. We piece together what really happened behind that viral moment. The hidden build-up, the buried emotions, and the cost of one joke too far. Because sometimes, when a smile disappears under the lights, it's already too late. And the fallout? It hasn't ended. The night didn't start with tension. It started with anticipation, rehearsed, curated, and stage managed to perfection. Inside Studio 6B, the crew moved like ghosts behind blinking consoles and glowing screens. Cables ran like veins across the floor. Overhead, rigged lights glared down, unblinking. The audience, hand-picked and prepped, buzzed with the nervous energy that only proximity to fame can summon. Behind the curtain, Taylor Swift sat in a green room chilled slightly below comfort, the kind of cold that keeps nerves sharp. Her team hovered nearby, a stylist fixing a strand, a manager scanning messages. The door remained half closed, a producer peeking in every few minutes with updates. 10 minutes, someone said. Taylor nodded, her gaze fixed on the floor, then the mirror, then back to the floor again. It wasn't her first time here. She knew how this worked. Cameras, questions, banter. An appearance like this could sell 1 million more albums, or undo years of careful branding. Every second mattered. Across the studio, Trevor Noah reviewed cue cards at his desk. Calm, almost detached. The words were familiar, punchlines, segues, scripted zingers, but tonight he had something extra, something that wasn't on the card. Ambiguous had floated through industry corridors for weeks. Tension between Trevor and Taylor, disagreements at a past awards show, a comment made backstage that never reached the public. Nothing confirmed, nothing denied, but here, tonight, the two were finally face to face again. And someone, whether Trevor, the network, or fate itself, wanted friction. As the seconds ticked down, the audience was brought in. Their applause was choreographed, their smiles wide, hungry. Phones were tucked away. Laughter signs lit above their heads, blinking on cue. Imperialism took her place backstage. The music swelled. Give it up for our guest tonight, a global icon, 12-time Grammy winner, and the queen of coded lyrics, Taylor Swift. She stepped out. Applause thundered. The air crackled, and for a moment, the world seemed to shimmer around her. Stood to greet her, his expression unreadable. He smiled as he gestured to the chair across from him. Taylor, welcome back. She nodded. Thanks for having me. They exchanged pleasantries. The surface gleamed. But underneath, the tension was already threading itself through the conversation. Tiny shifts in body language, overlapping sentences, a glance held too long, a laugh that didn't quite reach the eyes. Trevor brought up the tour, a safe topic. Taylor responded with her usual charm. She mentioned the fans, the cities, the chaos of performing night after night. But as she spoke, Trevor flipped through his cards, seemingly distracted. And then he slipped in the first real strike. You know, he said with a half smile, some people say your fans are scarier than your exes. The audience laughed, unsure if they should. Taylor's smile held, but her hands tightened around the edge of her seat. A pause. She answered. She answered lightly. They're passionate. Trevor chuckled. Passion, right. That's one word for it. Another beat. The crowd chuckled again, sensing something under the surface. Taylor straightened her posture, eyes fixed. She said nothing more. And just like that, the room shifted. The moment passed quickly, the conversation moved on, but something was unraveling, quietly, invisibly. No one in the room seemed to notice, except them. From a distance, the show continued like any other. Jokes, applause, staged chemistry. But for those watching closely, something wasn't right. The rhythm had changed. The smiles grew tighter. The space between words stretched thinner. Trevor leaned into his desk, elbows propped, the picture of relaxed confidence. But his eyes told another story. Analytical, searching, daring. Taylor, by contrast, remained upright, elegant, composed. Yet her gaze had cooled. It wasn't detachment, it was defense. This wasn't an interview anymore. It was a chess match. Tiered the conversation toward her recent re-recordings, the iconic reclamation of her masters. At first, it felt supportive, praising her business acumen, admiring her courage. Taylor responded warmly, nodding as he acknowledged her fight to own her voice. The audience clapped. It felt, for a moment, like the tension had dissolved. But then came the pivot. "You've really mastered the art of rewriting history," Trevor said, smile unwavering. Slashing sputtered from the crowd, confused, unsure. Taylor blinked once, slowly. She smiled, a tight, practiced thing. "Just trying to tell my side of it," she answered, voice cool. Trevor nodded. "Of course, your version." Again, a pause. Again, the meaning behind the words lingered, heavy and unresolved. A beat passed. The mic picked up the faintest sound, Taylor's fingers tapping once on her thigh beneath the desk. The camera didn't catch it, but the sound engineer did. Later, he'd describe it as a warning shot no one else heard. Trevor moved on, or pretended to, restless. He shifted to lighter fare, asking about her cats, her favorite breakfast food, a bizarre tweet involving a blender and a cardboard cutout of Ryan Reynolds. The crowd laughed. Taylor played along. But underneath, something had changed. It wasn't what Trevor said, it was what he didn't. There was a space in his tone now, a teasing edge, a dare. He brought up dating, carefully, obliquely. You've written some of the greatest heartbreak anthems in history. Ever worry that future boyfriends will be too scared to date you? The audience laughed louder this time. The familiarity returned. Taylor smiled again, but not with her eyes. "No," she said. "I think they just need to be brave." Trevor leaned forward. Brave or forgettable? The crowd gasped, half laugh, half shock. A silence fell. Not long, but long enough to feel unnatural. Taylor didn't flinch. She looked at him for a long, quiet moment. Then, with slow precision, turned to the audience and said, "Bravery doesn't come from trying to get the last word." The studio didn't know whether to laugh or applaud. Some clapped. Most didn't. Turbulence chuckled. Touché! The tension was no longer hidden. It was a third presence in the room, sitting between them, breathing with them. And behind the cameras, a producer whispered to another, "Cut the segment short if it gets worse." But it wouldn't be cut, because this was exactly what they wanted. Simmons. Ratings. Viral gold. They didn't know what was coming next. Neither did she. And neither, perhaps, did he. The stage lights bore down harder now, casting long shadows across the glossy floor. The laughter had thinned. The air had stiffened. Even the audience, trained to clap on cue, now hesitated, unsure whether they were still watching entertainment or something far more real. Trevor Noah smiled, but the kind of smile that came with risk, one that twisted at the corners, daring the room to flinch. Taylor, still poised, breathed in once through her nose. Her expression hadn't cracked, but her energy had changed. She wasn't just performing anymore. She was guarding. And then, it happened. Trevor shifted in his seat, almost too casually. He pulled a single note card from beneath his stack, not white like the others, black. A segment labeled, "Off Script." He smiled to the audience, as if letting them in on a joke. "I wasn't going to ask this," he said, laughter already in his voice. "But I think we're all curious." The audience stirred. Taylor didn't move. Trevor continued. "There's this rumor that your last album wasn't just about love, or ownership, or reinvention." He paused. He looked directly at her. Triumph. But revenge. The air vanished from the room. Taylor blinked. Once. Trevor leaned in. "So tell us, Taylor, who exactly are you trying to destroy?" Gasps erupted. Nervous chuckles trailed off into silence. The cameras caught it all. Every breath, every stare, every twitch of discomfort spreading through the crowd like a virus. Taylor didn't respond. She just sat, frozen in time, spine straight, eyes steady. Then, slowly, she leaned forward. The light caught her face now, casting one side in golden warmth, the other in hard shadow. She didn't raise her voice, but the words she spoke, as recounted by audience members later, felt like thunder whispered through glass. "I don't destroy people," she said. "I outlast them." No smile. No wink. Just the truth. Trevor smiled again, not cruelly, but cautiously. He opened his mouth as if to respond, but hesitated, and in that sliver of hesitation, Taylor moved. With a grace, both terrifying and silent, she reached for her lapel mic. One hand, one motion. Click. The red light on the mic flickered off. The studio froze. Trevor's face stiffened. The producers behind the glass stood up. No script prepared them for this. Taylor, their chair scraped the stage. A sound too real for television. Too raw. She smoothed the hem of her jacket with ritualistic precision. Then she turned to the audience. A single nod. Not angry, not sad. Kremlin. Final. And then she walked. The camera followed. Against orders, against instinct, it panned wide, capturing her retreat through the side curtain, past the blinking stage lights, into the cold corridors of backstage silence. No music played. No applause rolled. Just silence. Shimmering, half waiting for someone to laugh and shout, "Gotcha!" But the laughter never came. Trevor remained seated, his expression unreadable now. He glanced toward the curtain, then toward his producers. "Are we still rolling?" he asked quietly. No one answered. What had begun as a scheduled segment was now a moment etched into pop culture history. And testosterone, not yet. In the hours after the walkout, the footage was scrubbed, sanitized. Producers worked frantically behind locked doors, editing feeds, silencing backstage mics, stitching together a safer version of the truth. But they couldn't stop what had already begun. By midnight, whispers turned into trending tags. Audience members leaked details. Forum threads swelled with second-hand accounts. A blurred clip from a cell phone camera, someone in the back row filming against the rules, surfaced online. It showed just enough. Trevor's question, the silence, Taylor standing. The internet detonated. Called it a publicity stunt. Others cried foul, accusing Trevor of crossing lines long thought uncrossable. A few claimed it was staged, a choreographed viral moment. But behind every take, one fact remained. Taylor Swift had walked off Trevor Noah's set. And no one knew why. Until the thread appeared. Post anonymously, buried deep in a niche media forum, it carried no title, just a single time-stamped message. All missed it. It wasn't the question. It was what he said before the cameras rolled. The post exploded. People searched for clues, comparing pre-show photos, leaked audience reports, whispering about what might have been said off-air, something that didn't make it into the live segment. And then a second post appeared. Same user, different tone. Check the cold mic recording. The boom was still live. They forgot to cut it. That's when the audio leaked. Low quality, grainy, but real. Captured moments before the official taping began, before the applause, before the music cue. In it, Trevor is heard joking with a stagehand, unaware the mic was still rolling. He says Taylor's name, then something else. Quiet, muffled, but the words land like lead. She's built her whole empire on heartbreak. Let's see what happens when she's the punchline. No laughter followed, just a faint rustle of a clipboard, and a pause. Then Taylor's voice, tight but clear. Say that again, into the camera. He didn't. But so world listened to that audio, over and over, dissecting every syllable, every breath. Commentators took sides. Was it sarcasm? Was it malicious? Was it a joke? Or a warning? Suddenly, the walkout wasn't about one question on air. It was about everything unsaid before it. Everything implied. Everything buried. Taylor's team remained silent for 48 hours, a decision that only fueled speculation. Meanwhile, Trevor's show faced backlash. A petition to release the full, uncut footage garnered millions of signatures. Then, late on the third day, a single post appeared on Taylor's official page. No caption, no comment. just a reimbursement. Black and white, silent. It shields Taylor, walking out from behind the curtain of a different show, years earlier. A different host, a different era. And beneath it, a quote faded in. They'll applaud you until you speak too loudly. Then they'll try to turn down the volume. That message was clear. And so was the twist. This wasn't the first time. It might be the last time she stayed silent. The storm didn't end when the headlines faded. It only changed form. All week after the taping, the network released a polished, edited version of the interview, just 13 minutes long. Gone was the final exchange. Gone was the tension. Gone, even, was the glimmer in Taylor's eyes as she rose to leave. In its place, laughter, applause, a charade of civility. But the internet had already moved beyond curated truths. Clips from bootleg audience recordings were re-edited into fan documentaries. Audio engineers isolated frequencies in the leaked mic file to enhance every syllable. Former show interns came forward anonymously, confirming tensions between Trevor and Taylor had simmered since an unseen 2022 backstage altercation at an awards gala. The pieces began to align. And through it all, Taylor Swift remained quiet. She canceled no appearances. She issued no clarifications. Instead, she posted a single Instagram story, a photo of a cracked glass heart set on a mic stand. No caption, no explanation. Some saw it as vulnerability, others defiance. Maybe both. Trevor, too, said nothing at first. His show continued, but the tone had changed. Jokes landed differently. Guests seemed more cautious, and audiences more skeptical. 2 weeks later, during a closing monologue, he finally addressed it, indirectly. He looked into the camera and said, "Words have weight. Sometimes they fly. Sometimes they fall. Sometimes they walk away." Screen faded to black. Quang, neither party named the moment again, but its ripples were permanent. Striped industry insiders whispered about new protocols for celebrity interviews. The Swift rule, some called it. Never provoke the artist without consent. Never assume silence equals safety. But beyond the headlines and hashtags, a deeper question remained, one that haunted both fans and critics alike. Why had Taylor walked out? Not just what was said, but what was felt. Was it anger? Spiritual? Disrespect? Or something more universal? A final straw in a life lived beneath spotlights, dissected, commodified. Because when a woman known for reclaiming her narrative decides not to speak, that silence becomes the loudest chapter of all. Maybe, just maybe, that was the point. As the story slips from trending topics into whispered myth, it leaves behind a question. Not about celebrity, not about comedy, not even about power, but about choice. When the world turns your pain into a punchline, do you stay and smile? Or do you stand and walk away? You decide. If you found this story powerful, haunting, or thought-provoking, don't stay silent. Tap the like button, subscribe for more cinematic breakdowns, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment behind the curtain. What do you think really happened that night? Was it justice? Manipulation? Or something else entirely? Sound off in the comments below. Your voice might be the next piece of the puzzle.